Good afternoon, Albertans. Today, I'm going to have a very special guest, an interview about what will happen if Alberta breaks the threshold of debt that won't allow us to separate. I talked about this many years ago. I said that if we crossed a line at about $155 billion, we would not be able to separate. Jason Kenney today released, as I predicted, in very close numbers, the extreme deficit we are facing. More than 3 times what was predicted, more than twice what Rachel Notley could have ever pushed forward in deficit, just when we thought it wasn't possible to get any more radical in spending. Jason Kenney tops all predictions. So here we go. It's Peter Downing and the viable path to the 51st state. What happens when Alberta is unable to pursue independence because financially we can't do it? This is the alternative in real economics. I've known Peter for many years. I helped get him on board with independence. He took that to a whole nother level. He was the founder of Wexit, as you know, both federally and provincially. And Peter's going to sit down with me today. It's been a while since we've had time to actually do this, and I hope you enjoy it. Hello, everybody. Today we have a special guest, Peter Downing. He's both a separatist and now he's embarking on a road that I admire very much because I, too, feel that it is the economic outcome of where Jason Kenney's brought us. But without further ado, Wexit founder, Peter Downing.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dave.
Peter, you created Wexit and there have been some serious changes in both federal and provincial leadership. What do you see coming from both sides?
It's a great question, Dave. So recently, over the past, it took a while, but we got the merger complete between Wexit Alberta and the Freedom Conservative Party. Paul Hinman has taken over the interim leadership of the Wild Rose Independence Party, the new merged entity, to present, again, a credible option for all Albertans, as opposed to the Kenney government that's really not living up to the promises that the UCP was built on when that merger happened. So the focus there definitely seems to be in terms of gaining Alberta's autonomy through our own police, our own taxation, immigration, pension, firearms. That's definitely very important if we were to become our own country in of itself. However, as we're seeing the economics, the trade imbalance, we're seeing a bunch of reasons, not to mention the amount of trade and investment we'd be seeing in Alberta overnight with the joining the USA option. It really is the best of both worlds for both Alberta and the USA. So we've seen that change provincially. We've seen Jay Hill take over again. I recruited Jay 4 months ago, and he eventually agreed to take over the leadership of Wexit Canada. He's definitely fighting along the lines of constitutional reform. So both that autonomy piece at the provincial level and the constitutional reform at the federal level, I think Albertans still want to see those efforts being made to get quote-unquote a fair deal. I don't think there's any fair deal to be had with Canada, or with Ottawa, but I think that we probably, Albertans want to see those options attempted, and then when they fail, which I expect, I don't expect Ottawa to play fairly. I expect that it's not going to get what we want. Then I think all Albertans are going to be unified to leave this confederation. It's a toxic relationship, and a partnership with the United States solves all our problems.
Good answer, Peter. Peter, we both know at $155 billion Alberta provincial debt that Alberta independence is no longer viable. In your own words, Peter, why is the option to join the USA the only choice at that time?
Well, even today, you saw Jason Kenney with the Alberta Fiscal Update report a $10 billion shortfall because of wrong estimations on oil revenue. And the reality is that any organization, any company would fire somebody who did that. But it was passed off like it was no big deal. It was passed off that it's just a cost of doing business, or a cost of COVID, or this whole propaganda that we have to, we're fighting some sort of a war here right now. And it almost looks intentional. I mean, for a fellow who said that he's an unqualified Canadian patriot and a federalist. Well, what better way can you serve your federalist or your monarchy by creating economic conditions by which Alberta wouldn't have the capital or the capital or the credit or the credit terms of credit to be able to finance our development by putting us towards, again, we're fast approaching that 155 billion debt mark, that it really hits us at our debt load, and international creditors are going to say, no, you're just not a proper credit risk. So that again, by Jason Kenney taking this approach and by increasing this spending and racing us towards that $155 billion threshold, it really only does leave the option of joining the United States as our only option. And the reality is that the United States, they have a favorable trade deficit with the rest of the world. They're rating in their trade balance. Canada right now has a trade surplus with the United States. They're reining that stuff in, but the reality is that we have a trade deficit with the rest of the world as well. So again, from a logical, a rational perspective, and again, if joining the United States is not your first choice, it should soon become your second or your third option, because we really aren't going to have many other options, and it really does solve all of our problems.
Peter, to put it in perspective for our viewers, I'm asking you this question. How much of Alberta and Canada's debt is owned by the United States of America in percentage or in fraction?
Yeah, we're looking at 60%. 60% of Canadian and Alberta debt is owned by the U.S. It's owned by U.S. companies, U.S. citizens. So again, we're moving from a situation of weakness into a situation of strength. America has the World Trade Organization, the World Bank, the World Financial Organization. They have the veto at the United Nations Security Council. By joining the United States, Alberta would be able to pull off a feat and be permanently on the Security Council in a sense where Justin Trudeau never could.
Excellent. Okay, Peter, can you please tell the viewers what you're up to now, and why are you going with the U.S. narrative at this time?
Yeah, once again, it really goes beyond. It really goes beyond sentiment, and really just looks at what's in our best interests as Albertans. Our desire for economic freedom, social stability, for our own independence. The reality is, the way Jason Kenney's going right now with spending, we're not going to be able to secure. Alberta's not going to be able to secure. Once we hit that $155 billion threshold, we're not going to be able to secure the terms of credit that we need to be our own independent nation. But becoming the 51st American state, we actually do get to become a country within a country. We get to have our own constitution. We get to have our own laws. The nice thing about being in the United States is that, say, for instance, you don't like living in one state, you can just move to another state. If you can't find work in one area, you can just go move to another area. It's the world's #1 economy. This is why we're doing this. My loyalty is to my family, to my friends, my neighbors, to Albertans, and doing what's best for Albertans while we have the ability to do it. I've launched the Alberta USA Foundation. You can learn more about us at www.ab51pac.com. We are launching Should Alberta Join the USA Billboards. It's got President Trump's image on it. They're beautiful digital billboards that are set to launch in Edmonton and in Ottawa, Ontario, starting on August the 31st. We've got it right by the legislature in Edmonton, and we've got it on a very visible public highway in Ottawa. A lot of people are going to see this, and again, it's going to create some great public discussion of this question. Especially, the biggest thing is that Albertans need to know that this is not just an option, but a legitimate option, and a very important option. We need to start having discussion on that. That'll begin very publicly this Monday.
Most excellent, Peter. It's great to see you again. It's been a while, and it's funny how roads converge. This is about the second time we've ended up on the same page. Thank you so much for your time. You're welcome, Dave.
It was, and the reality is, and your viewers need to know this, it was you yourself who convinced me on the legitimacy of Alberta's separation from Canada. The simple math that we've only got 34 seats in the House of Commons. Ontario has 121, Quebec has 78, and our economic and political interests are fundamentally opposed. So thank you, Dave.
No problem. Thank you, Peter. You have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching, everybody. Here's a sneak peek at the giant billboards, digital. They're going to appear here in Edmonton, Alberta at the legislature and on a major Ottawa highway. Loud and proud, Peter Downing knows how to do it right.